Hello, everyone. I'm Courage Musa, and I'm here to give you some technical tips with regards to poultry farming. Basically, poultry farming is actually a business which needs full understanding of some business concept. I'm here to share with you some business component that you need to consider when you want to venture into poultry farming. So sit back and relax while you follow some important tips which will help each one of us to succeed in our poultry businesses. As you all know, any successful business requires extensive and careful planning. We all agree. This enables the farmer to look at all aspects of the businesses, which include understanding of the value chain, the competition, laws, maybe there are some regulations, and markets. A good poultry business plan will include the following. So you shall see that the choice of the poultry sector and the products that you are going to supply. You need to carefully understand when you want to venture into poultry business, the choice of the poultry sector or the product that you are going to supply. So the term poultry refers to the domestic fowl such as chickens, that is your broiler and your layers, your ducks, your quails, your guinea fowls, your turkeys, etc. The farmer has to make a decision about which of these they are going to produce and for which market. Okay. In addition, there are some parts of the poultry value chain that the farmer may be interested in, maybe such as the poultry feed production, egg or meat processing. So you also need, this is the first. The second is the financing. No business can thrive without sustainable financing, and this is to be integrated into the planning process from the beginning. One is to consider where to get money for the enterprise. Can you get a loan? What are the interest rate? Are they sustainable? Is your choice for enterprise capable of meeting the requirements of that loan? What is the loan required for? Operational cost? Is it capital expenditure? etc. This obviously requires a careful thought since it determines the success of your failure of the enterprise. Location and accessibility. Location of a poultry site is governed by many factors. So if you want to venture or if you want to come up with a business plan with regards to your poultry, location and accessibility is another factor which you need to consider. So accessibility include the road and utilities such as electricity, water, maybe its topography, prevailing wind, existing building, proximity to residential areas and public places, laws and regulations that are operating in the area. Possibly for future expansion, litter disposal and waste management, you need also to look into these things. A poultry enterprise obviously requires transportation of both inputs and products, meaning that it should be serviced by good roads. There is also need for a reliable supply of clean water. How far is the farm from an input suppliers and the road network? How is it? Maybe the abattoirs and also the market. How far your farm is, you need to take into consideration all those things. Housing and equipment. Poultry housing and equipment are designed to meet several requirements. Is the planned space adequate for the size of the enterprise inserved? Do we have enough equipment? Feeding troughs, water troughs, water points, etc. The scales, the thermometers for the enterprise. Are the building constructed in such a way as to maximize productivity, profits, without compromising the welfare of birds and personnel? You know, some of us, we just plan our businesses in such a way that we end up occupying the spare for our children. That spare will be used as a brooder or for the poultry production. Is not actually a very good practice. So we need to plan all those things. Do the building meet biosecurity requirements? There are certain design considerations that have to be taken into account. So you also need to take into account the transport. A poultry enterprise requires frequent transportation of inputs, products. For example, 10,000 broilers enterprise requires approximately 40 tons of feed, meaning there should be a truck that can handle such transport needs. In addition, the moment that birds reach market weight, they should be removed or they should be transported from the farm as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the farm will incur additional costs. Now, you also need to consider the biosecurity access control. There are several designs that are supposed to achieve biosecurity and access control to the farm. These include proper design for the biosecurity house to avoid build up of ammonia and pathogens, vermin control, that is your rares, etc., proper use of food baths, proper rest periods and disinfections, restriction of access to the poultry house, proper disposal of dead birds and litter, also proper distance from poultry house to the other poultry house and also to the fence. A biosecurity access control protocol is to be integrated in the planning phase. You also need to plan your personnel, isn't it? Like any other business, a poultry enterprise requires skilled personnel. This should be a plan to hire or train personnel for the successful running of the enterprise. This should include stock persons, accountants, etc. Record keeping and in understanding of the performance of the enterprise is not possible without proper records. There should be a plan on which records to keep and how to use these records to understand the performance of the enterprise. Maybe you need also to understand the feeds and feeding requirement. This knowledge needs to be understood very, very well. Feed, constitute about 75% of the total variable cost of the enterprise. So the farmer needs to make careful decisions about the source of the feed. Are you going to buy complete or partial rations? Are you going to grow your own ingredients and formulate the diets on the farm? What are the tools available at the farm? Are the storage facility available and secure? All those things needs to be taken into consideration. Understanding the regulatory framework. There are many laws and regulations that directly affect the poultry enterprise. These usually include environment and public health, which you are supposed to adhere to. The farmer therefore should have a thorough understanding of this regulatory framework and have a plan on how the enterprise actually will comply. So last but not least, you need also to understand the marketing, where you obviously need a marketing plan. Without a reliable market, the rest of the plan cannot work. This is the reason why you think about what product you want to put on the market. This is the first point, isn't it? The choice of the poultry enterprise. Maybe the eggs, they are better than the broilers. Maybe the quails, they are better than the broilers or the eggs. Maybe the roadrunner are the better than. You also need to have a proper plan. This marketing plan will now help you to decide in the choice of the poultry enterprise to venture into. This is the reason why you think about what product you want to put on the market. What does that market want? Where is the market? How do you develop brand recognition? What niche are you going to occupy? What will be unique about your product? You also need to create your product in a unique way. Broilers are broilers, but you need to produce them in a unique way. Consider all the fiscals that are critical to success. So please, you need to take note of all these factors that you need to consider when you want to venture into poultry production. This will help you in planning This will also help you in the success of your poultry business. Thank you. Keep on watching these videos so that you'll benefit more in your poultry enterprise. Thank you very much.